did a really big tour earlier of a world, but this is a quick home tour. This is a personal build of mine. This is my Spanish colonial 1980s style, early 90s style sort of suburban track home. This is the second home in a series I'm doing with a starter home and then this sort of middle class home and then a estate. Kind of in the same vein of thought and the same style with this sort of Spanish colonial sort of look that you might find in a housing track, right? Suburban housing track. This will be a pretty quick build. As I said, this is my own. This is a personal build. It is on the gallery. It's on under my ID, Jason Sterling RMC, right? Right. Now, on to this build. Of course, I've got my family living here at the moment. The same family that was in the starter, right? The starter home. And this is the exterior. So you can see some sort of typical Spanish colonial touches, right? Give this sort of idea of a certain period or era. The backyard is done in a, upper side of middle class sort of configuration. We've got a pool, we've got a hot tub, there's a deck with seating, and a small garden that is fenced in. We're going to come to that as we do the actual home tour, but there is a small garden there for seating. Back here around front, this is a pretty large lot. This is a 30 by 40 lot here in Del Sol. You can put it on any 30 by 40 lot, of course. I don't think it'll fit on a 20 by 30. I think it is too big. But, any 30 by 40 lot should be fine. As would be typical for any sort of suburban track home here in the United States, it's got a 2-car garage. And in this era, it's got 2 living areas and 2 dining areas. You've got a more formal living and dining up front, and then, which is going to be here, of course, living, dining, and then a more casual family room, kitchen with a breakfast room here in the back. The master bedroom is also here in the back with a master bath. Now, as also was kind of common with the era, you have a little bit of a sunken living room, a kind of step down living room, just to give this sort of feeling, I think, of a little more feeling of grandeur, right? You're going up and down different levels, so it gives this feeling of a spacious home that requires that. Also, what I put in here was what, during that period, especially in the 90s, you would have what they called a plant ledge, which was literally either kind of a lowered wall, maybe around the kitchen, or just a ledge like this that people would typically put fake plants on to hang over. I suppose you could use real ones, but fake, real ones would require watering, over all of this stuff. So typically it's fake plants, fake greenery of some sort. So I did put that in here. Again, we'll kind of come to why here in a minute, but I put that in there. We've got a coat closet here off of the entryway where my little kids are, Hooper and Max. And then a 2-car garage, right? The 2-car garage with a bunch of junk from the family. Typically, you might also find the laundry room out here. Like you might find a laundry over in this area. I did not put a laundry in this particular build because this is a base game only build. So everything you see is base game only. So no laundry, but if you have laundry day, you could go ahead and build kind of a little laundry setup out here in the garage, which wouldn't be too unusual for the 80s leading into the 90s. It'd be a little unusual. You might actually have more of a typical laundry room, but you might still find it in the garage like that. The family room is relatively small. There's not much here except for a TV set. Again, if you've got the pack that it comes in, you could put a video game in here, right? A video game system. It's typically where you'd find it. Back here in the kitchen, we've got kind of a spacious kitchen, though. A bar for the family room, right? Little kind of wet bar for parties. Got this spacious kitchen fully outfitted with all the modern conveniences and appliances. Little triangle sort of workspace set up for cooking. And a dine-in area in the kitchen, kind of a breakfast room. Typically, it'd be listed as breakfast area, breakfast room. You wouldn't necessarily have called it an eat-in kitchen. That's what it was, but usually it would have been called a breakfast room or something like that. Little bit of art in place, a little bit of clutter. Again, not a lot. This is base game only, so you don't end up with a lot of stuff. You do get, though, a small hall bath. Again, very typical for this era. You would have a small guest bath in this type of home, back in the day. In the master bedroom, again, pretty spacious master bedroom. Not too huge, not too small. Enough room for a dresser, right? We've got a walk-in closet conveniently located off of the master bathroom, which is spread out in linear form. And what I did here, again, this is going to be late 80s, early 90s, right? You had what they often called a garden tub, okay? So sometimes it was sunken into the floor, and sometimes it wasn't, but it was a garden tub because, it would have either sliding doors or French doors that led out to a patio, right? In this case, I've done a very private patio with a garden area and a lovely tree there, right? And a fountain. Because I guess the idea is, wouldn't it be romantic and lovely? You're going to open the doors, see some fresh air. You're going to hear the birds. You're going to hear that fountain. And you're going to luxuriate as if you don't have children in this tub with some Calgon maybe and a nice glass of Chardonnay and the rest of the bottle right next to you. On the tub, and you're going to have a great sort of early evening or afternoon. That was kind of the concept and the theory. I doubt that ever really came to fruition. I can't quite imagine anyone sitting there with the doors open with, like, say, Hooper, out here screaming his head off and crying and begging to be let in because daddy, he misses you, right? He misses you and he wants in. I don't really think that would happen, but there you go. Here in the backyard, as I said, we've got a great pool area with some loungers, place to do a little grilling. The deck has table and chairs and some seating and a hot tub. A lot of hot tubs. Even still today, it's not that unusual. Find people have a hot tub in the backyard. Or even in like kind of a 3-season room, kind of a glass room or something like that. Now, on the second floor of this build is where the kids would kind of hang out. And I'm going to go over the plant ledge real quick. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the walls down a little bit because, this here is an open cathedral ceiling to the first floor, right? From this loft area on the second floor. This is very much in keeping with the era. It's very much in keeping with kind of the late 80s, early 90s, maybe even further on, where you would have this soaring cathedral ceiling that would be open to a loft on the second floor. Now, in The Sims, it's really hard to do that, right? Because it wants to rubber band a lot when you move around. And as you can see, it erases half the stuff on the floor when you have the walls up, right? Now, if you play with the walls down, you don't have that problem. You can see everything downstairs, and you don't have the rubber banding effect, at least not as bad as you do with the walls up. I really went back and forth. Speaking of back and forth, I really went back and forth with whether or not to leave that opening because of the rubber banding issue, but at the same time, it is so in keeping with the character and the style of the era and what I was going for with this suburban look. So I left it. That also explains why the plant ledge is there. In order to open that wall on the side of the roof, because what we've used here is just the roof, the angle, the wall of the roof, right? I'm going to just go ahead and put that up again. So this is just the roof wall here. I inserted some large archways, like the largest archways we have, overlap them, and then shrink them down to nothing using the tool mod so it opens it up as though it's just totally open. But you can still see the line, where they would sit here. So I turned it into a plant ledge, again, very in keeping with the era, and left that view in place. Like I said, it would be very hard for someone to put it in if I didn't put it there and they wanted it. And it's not quite as hard to get rid of it. If you erase those plants and the plant shelves, the ledge, you can just make out those shrunken archways and delete them as well, right? And it'll just put it back like a regular wall there if you don't want to play with it. Now, once you get upstairs, now that we're past that, you have your loft area open here. It's kind of a little game area for the kids, right? Although the adults could play up there too. It's kind of a little game area, little hangout area, kind of imagine for the kids. They've got some library books here. They got a nice bathroom, right? 2 sinks for the kids. I have set these rooms up actually for a teenager and a child. Hooper is still a toddler here. Hooper's always a toddler, but Hooper's still a toddler. But the home itself is set up more for a teenager and child. So the starter home was a child and a toddler. This home is a teenager and a child. As you've done better in your career, maybe you've gotten some raises, you're going to move up to a larger home. That's what you've done here. We've got the kids' bedroom right here and the teenager's bedroom right here. Teenager's a little more moody. He's got a lot of black. The kid, of course, is a little more fun. He's got some green and some colorful rugs, colorful chairs. He likes color still, and he wants to be a scientist. Ba-bum. Right. I've got actual dressers in here, again, because it's base game. We don't have closets in base game. But in order to keep it a little more real, I did put small allusions to a closet, like the coat closet downstairs. I just kind of framed out a little area to indicate a closet and put a door there. Again, that's in keeping with what you would have in reality, which is a small closet in the kids' rooms upstairs. And that is pretty much it. This, again, is just a middle-class suburban home, definitely set for a growing family. You could put more than one bed in those rooms. You could have, a couple of beds in here or here. In fact, this is set up with bunk beds in case his friends come over to spend the night, right? But you could fit more kids in this building than 2. It's just set up for 2. And that's it. Not much to say, right? Not much to say, not much to see, not much to do. Here's the floor plan from above. I'm going to take a quick picture of that. Someday I might do a review of this online. I built this a long time ago when Delso first came out, or get famous. And the idea was this was the only time they've done this, and I don't know. I don't remember seeing other people really do much with it. But they had 2 lots side by side, like literally touching with that world, and it's like the only world they've ever done it. And I thought, well, hey, let's turn it into a shopping mall, kind of Galleria style, with an apartment building, an apartment tower connected, right? And in the middle, I'd create sort of a parking garage that the 2 structures share. And, if you lived here, you could come over to the mall, do a little shopping, do a little hangout. It's kind of a lifestyle center because it's got like a gym and a coffee shop and a bookstore and, a movie theater. More than it's kind of a rehab mall, something someone came in and took the traditional kind of mall from the past, a sort of 70s style mall, and kind of turned into a lifestyle center for the 2000s. And then, the apartment complex or apartment tower next to it. And I did a whole sort of build technique here, which this is foundation. This is a really tall foundation that I hollowed out and used the transparent foundation pieces to give it the appearance of a parking garage. And you could see inside and see the cars parked inside. You can see a little bit there, right? So that was kind of a build trick, because that is inside the foundation of this building. It's not accessible, but it looks like it's a parking garage. And I did do a tutorial on that a long time ago back in the day. But anyway, that's what's across the street here in Del Sol from my Suburban build, an 80s Suburban build across the street from the shopping mall. Perfect California look. And that's it for now. This was a really quick live stream to tour this build. I will turn this into a normal video and post it sometime next week. And in the meantime, please hit like, subscribe, and notify. And thank you for watching.